How do you make sure that your event converts? That's the question that people ask all the time. I was recently at an event that went off the rails. Out of the hundreds of events that I've attended, this one was in the top 3 worst events of all time. They had more than 400 people there live. They had another 300 to 400 that were joining us virtually, and they missed, in my opinion, about $250,000 to $300,000 in sales. In this video and this blog, I'm going to walk you through 3 small mistakes that they made and 3 big mistakes that they made so that you can make your event without those mistakes and make sure that your event converts. Okay, so the 3 smaller mistakes, these are like ultra specific. The first one was that they did not use a professional AV team. Instead, they thought they were going to shortcut the process. The larger strategy here is don't shortcut when it comes to the things that you need in the room. So their screens, instead of using professional screens, they went out and bought cheap screens. And what happened is they kind of folded in the middle and they waved around a lot so no one could read the slides. QR codes wouldn't work when you pointed your phone at it. The second thing is their AV, they went to Best Buy and they bought speakers. They thought instead of hiring an AV team for a total of about $8,000 to $10,000 for the event, they would go just buy the speakers, hook the speakers up. One, their mics were horrible and they were going in and out all of the first day. The second day, they went out and bought new microphones, but the real thing that caused the problem is the AV board itself did not have magnetic shielding, and they were running Wi-Fi boosters throughout the event so that they didn't have to pay for Wi-Fi from the event center. They brought in a hotspot and then put these Wi-Fi boosters around the room, created so much weird, stuff flowing throughout the airspace that the mics were always breaking up. Day 3, they finally broke down and brought the magnetic shielding that goes around the AV board, and voila, it was fixed. The third thing that they did that, in my opinion, caused a lot of problems, they set up the seating so that it was hard to get in and out. And really, this could have been broken up so that there were rows, but by doing this and by forcing their paid customers to the front, it made all the people that were there, when I say paid customers, it was the people that were already in their program. There's nothing wrong with having some VIP seating, but it made it so that we were all so far back that we couldn't ask questions. They didn't set up questions the right way. So the way that the aisles were set up and the way that you had to go through asking questions, the people who were there that had paid to be in the room but were not part of their program then couldn't ask questions. And this is one of the biggest things that leads to people buying, is when you get to ask a question and the person on stage gets to answer and help you with your business, you develop rapport, which moves you to a buyer. They set it up so that could not happen. They only took questions from people that had already paid to be in their program, which, in my opinion, cost them some sales. So those are small, specific things. Now let's get into the bigger things, because they didn't do these very well either. So the first thing is, who is in the room? You want to have a mix of people that have already paid to be in your programs and people who have bought tickets. Where this event went wrong, in order to stuff people into the room, they offered a whole bunch of free tickets. So they had the room set up for many more people than were there. I think the room was set for somewhere between 500 to 700. They only ended up with about 400 people there. And out of the 300 people that were not in their paid programs, my guess is that about 100 were paid. The rest were free. Free people do not convert very well. In this case, the numbers that I saw, none of the free people bought, but they were there. They took up seats, but they weren't asking good questions. They were eating the people's food. They were causing a lot of stir in the room, but they didn't buy anything. Not a horrible thing, but you want to make sure the right people are in the room. How do you do that? That kind of leads me to number 2, and that is they did not test their offer. The offer is everything. That's what we build the event around. So you want to take your offer, which is usually 5 specific line items that address specific pain points, overcome those pain points, and get specific outcomes, and 3 bonuses. That makes up the offer. You want to test that to your audience, then you want to build your marketing for the event around one specific pain point from the offer. So you end up with 5 specific advertising hooks that you use out here. Now you want your entrepreneur story, you want your case studies, you want the objections that you overcome, all out here to be built around the offer so that you make sure that you have the right people in the room. For this event, the people that were in the room were there because they bought into one of the speakers that were on stage, not because of the offer. When the offer was made, it fell completely flat. So how do you get the right people in the room? You take your offer and you build your marketing off of single pieces of the offer so that you get the people who are already leaning in and say, I need help with one thing. They're probably going to need help with the other things in the offer as well. So this leads us to our third strategy mistake, which is the story arc of the event. From the offer, you want to meet people where they are at, and then you want the presentations to build in a story arc that takes them from point A to point B, gets them into momentum, starts to stretch the gap, shows them how they can get there, and then the offer is what offers support. We do this all the time for our clients, but I'm sure we can all relate to being one of those events where you go in the room, you sit down, the first speaker talks about one thing, the next speaker talks about something else, and you're just jumping back and forth, and there's no clean roadmap from point A to point B to point C to get the outcome that you desire. Instead, it's just random stuff on stage, and that does not work when it comes to converting your offer. All of these things were present in this event that I was just at, and it's one of the reasons that they closed. The numbers that I saw, they closed less than 5% of the people that were there because they did such a poor job with all of this. The last bonus one that I will give you is don't have bad speakers. So what does that mean? Everyone's like, well, of course I want to have good speakers. What this event did is they went out to all of their friends that are in their community, and they said, hey, do you want to speak on my stage? If you mail for me, if you help me fill the room, I'll give you a speaking spot. This led to a chaotic structure in the event, number one. Number two, there was one speaker there that was so bad, they had to go up and pull them off stage. They did not use people that were tested speakers. And to be completely honest, when you're making an offer that is your offer, you should have at most 2 additional speakers throughout the entire event. Instead, a lot of people think that the way to fill the event is to give speaking spots to people that will promote it to their audience. This is one of the worst ways to get people in the room, because even if you get the people there, the chances of them buying are slim. So there you have it. There were 3 specific things, 3 strategy things, and 1 bonus thing that will help you make sure that you hold a great event.